Imagine carrying everything you owned on your back, every meal, every tool, every animal you hunted. Now imagine doing that every single day. No carts, no wagons, no bicycles, not even a wheel. For most of human history, that's exactly how people lived. Before engines, before horses pulled wagons, before civilizations built roads, humans had to invent something much simpler. Something so ordinary, most people never think about it. And surprisingly, it wasn't the wheel. The first true vehicle was invented thousands of years before wheels ever existed. It completely changed how humans hunted, how they migrated, how they survived. This simple invention eventually led to every cart, every carriage, every train, every truck, and every car you see today. So, what was humanity's very first vehicle? The answer begins long before history was ever written, long before cities, long before kingdoms, long before the pyramids. Humans were constantly moving. They followed animals. They searched for fresh water. They looked for safer places to sleep. Everything they owned had to travel with them. There were no backpacks, no suitcases, no roads, only forests, mountains, rivers, and endless wilderness. If a hunting group killed a massive animal, the real challenge had only just begun. Getting the meat home could take hours, sometimes days. A single mammoth could feed an entire tribe, but it could also weigh several tons, far too heavy to carry by hand. Leaving it behind wasn't an option. Food meant survival. Every piece mattered. So humans faced a difficult question. How do you move something that's much heavier than yourself? That single problem would eventually change human history forever. At first, humans relied on only one vehicle, their own bodies. Every tool, every spear, every animal skin, every child, everything had to be carried. The stronger you were, the more your tribe could move. But carrying heavy loads came with a price. It slowed people down. It drained their energy. It made long journeys dangerous. Imagine dragging hundreds of pounds across rough ground, day after day, over rocks, through rivers, across deep forests. It wasn't just exhausting, it was almost impossible. Humans needed a smarter solution, not more strength, but better ideas. And that's exactly what happened. One simple observation changed transportation forever. It began with something lying on the forest floor, a fallen tree. Ancient humans noticed something surprising. Heavy logs could roll. Instead of dragging massive loads across the ground, they could place them on top of fallen trees. As the logs rolled forward, the heavy object moved with them. It wasn't perfect. Workers constantly had to move the logs from the back to the front, again and again, but it worked. For the first time, humans could move enormous weight without lifting it. This simple trick became one of humanity's greatest discoveries. It inspired a new idea. What if, instead of rolling the ground beneath the load, you drag the load on something built for it? A flat platform, strong enough to carry heavy weight, smooth enough to slide across the earth. That idea gave birth to humanity's very first true vehicle, the sled. Simple, ingenious, and thousands of years older than the wheel. The first sled was incredibly simple. Just a flat wooden platform, no wheels, no axles, no moving parts. Yet it changed everything. Instead of carrying heavy loads, humans pulled them across dirt, across grass, across frozen ground. And when winter arrived, the sled became even more powerful. Snow reduced friction. Heavy objects that once required many people could now be moved by just a few. Hunters brought home enormous animals. Families carried their belongings farther than ever before. Entire camps could move more easily. The sled didn't make humans stronger. It made them smarter. For thousands of years, this simple invention became humanity's most important vehicle, long before the first wheel ever turned. But humans weren't finished innovating. Soon, they found another way to make transportation even easier. Instead of pulling the sled themselves, they discovered that someone else could do the hard work. Animals. The first animals to help humans weren't horses. They were dogs. Thousands of years ago, humans discovered that trained dogs could pull small sleds, especially across snow and ice. It wasn't fast, but it saved precious energy. As human civilizations grew, larger animals were domesticated. Oxen, donkeys, buffalo, camels. Each one transformed transportation. A single animal could pull far more weight than several people combined. Villages traded farther. Hunters traveled longer distances. Farmers moved heavier supplies. Communities became connected like never before. But there was still one major problem. Dragging a sled across dry ground created enormous friction. The heavier the load, the harder it became to pull. Humans had solved one problem. Now they faced another. How could something heavy move across the earth with almost no resistance? The answer would become one of the greatest inventions in human history, the wheel. Around 5,500 years ago, everything changed. Somewhere in ancient Mesopotamia, humans made a discovery that would reshape civilization forever. The wheel. At first, it wasn't invented for transportation. It was likely inspired by the potter's wheel, a spinning platform used to shape clay. Then someone had a revolutionary idea. What if a platform could spin beneath a heavy load? Instead of dragging the weight, it could roll. Friction dropped dramatically. A single person could now move loads that once required an entire group. Soon, wooden carts appeared. Then wagons. Trade expanded. Farms became more productive. Entire cities grew larger. The wheel didn't just make travel easier. It connected civilizations. Ideas spread farther. Goods traveled faster. Empires became possible. From that moment on, human transportation would never be the same again. Today, cars can travel hundreds of miles in a single day. Cargo ships carry entire cities' worth of supplies. Airplanes cross oceans in hours, and rockets leave the planet itself. But every one of those inventions can trace its story back to a simple wooden sled, a flat platform, dragged across the ground by people determined to make survival easier. The greatest inventions rarely appear all at once. They evolve. One idea leads to another. The sled inspired better transportation. Better transportation inspired the wheel. The wheel inspired carts. Carts inspired wagons. Wagons inspired engines. Engines inspired cars. Cars inspired aircraft. And eventually, spacecraft. Human history isn't a story of giant leaps. It's a story of countless small ideas, built upon the ones before them. The first vehicle wasn't powerful. It wasn't fast. It wasn't beautiful. But without it, the modern world might never have existed. Everything started with one simple sled, sliding across the earth. The next time you step into a car, ride a bicycle, or watch a train rush past, remember, none of it began with engines or wheels. It began with one simple idea: a wooden sled sliding across the earth. Thousands of years ago, every modern vehicle carries a small piece of that ancient invention with it. Human progress has never been about one giant breakthrough. It's been about ordinary ideas that changed everything. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind everyday life, subscribe to Human Rewind, because history isn't just about the past. It's the reason your world looks the way it does today.